is a great pleasure. On the Super Celebrity Hotline, and no man matches the title of the hotline better than our next guest, Jay Marvin, a beloved figure here at WLS for more than a decade, on and off for more than a decade.
Hey, Ro.
The great Jay Marvin has a new book out called Death Dance, and we're going through the book. We just got it this morning, and so we were going through it between me and Rich. We had one copy, and we're showing it to people. This, to know Jay Marvin, first of all, is to love Jay Marvin, is one of the great talk shows of any time ever in this country, but as a poet, as an artist, as an author, one of the deepest, darkest minds ever. Is that accurate, Jay?
Yeah, it's pretty noirish. Most of it I wrote, I don't even know when. Mary found it when I was at the height of my sickness and said, gee, let's polish this up and send it out. Now, most writers like Ishmael Reed and others will tell you that nowadays major publishers want kiss and tell books, and they've slashed their lit list down to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a small publisher, she did, and he agreed to take the book. And so that's how it kind of came, and then he did the graphics and everything else.
Jay, first of all, hi, Jay. It's great to talk to you. It's Richard.
Hey, Richard, how are you, man?
Doing great. It's wonderful to hear your voice, brother. It really is. And and I'm looking through the book. It's wonderful. It's called Death Dance. And you're right about publishers. They're so worried about, that one big hit that they don't have a lot of time for literature. But, with 50 Shades of Grey out there, you should have gone with 101 Shades, and they're all black, MF, okay?
Don't think I didn't think about that.
This is not 50 Shades of Grey, but there's one scene in this book that is very reminiscent. So if you're this by the way is not the holiday book for the kids. It is if you're a fan of Jay's or you're a fan of noir-ish, darkish kind of art and poetry and
you go to Howling Dog Press. That's howlingdog.com and get it. And let me plug another one I got real quick too. And that's Punk Blood. You can get that on Amazon.com and also Barnes and Noble.
Punk Blood.
Now, is it one of those things where it says, if you like Death Dance, you'll probably like Punk Blood?
Punk Blood is really an extreme book. Not recommended for children. Not recommended for anybody under the age of 18.
Not recommended for adults either. It's the damnedest thing. It's the first book ever not recommended for children or adults. It is recommended for just the basically you got to know Jay, to listen to Jay for the many years that Jay was on WLS. You know that Jay has you have an extreme personality. Is that a fair way of saying it?
Think of it this way: if you dig old motels, broken down rest stops, and the desert, and you're twisted, that's me.
There you go. Hunter S. Thompson never had anything on him. I'm just going to say that right now. As dark as Hunter S. Thompson got, it's no Jay Marvin. All right, now, Jay, let's talk a little bit about, and you mentioned that you had some health struggles over the last couple of years. We won't get into the details of that, but you had... Jay, when he was working here, Jay was a large man. I mean, he was not a small man, but he was, but he had that sort of hippie, the big beard and the ponytail and the leather jacket. And I remember when Jay came back, they ran this outdoor campaign here, Jay's Back, and it was just Jay's back. It was literally his back, a menacing fellow.
I'm sorry, what is this ad campaign of what you speak? What is that?
They used to do that in radio. They used to put up billboards. Anyways, the point is that when Jay came back, there was like this whole thing about, letting Jay be Jay. Because Jay was, and I always say this about you, to my ear, the greatest talk show host I ever heard.
Oh, thanks.
And when you were doing the night show, especially, because it was everything. It was counterculture. It was Art Bell before there was Art Bell. There was crazy crap going. There was great political conversations. There was great social conversation.
And a lot of humor, too, though. I mean, a lot of it was fun.
Always funny, too.
Yeah, I still hear from a lot of those people who participated in all of those things. I still hear from them, get emails, and I hear from via Facebook. And by the way, hello to Lucy and her family. She's very conservative, but I love her to death, and she's out there listening. And I just want to say hello to her. Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, no, sir. All right, so now let me just ask you this, because you've been you're an interesting cat because you're not a cookie cutter talk show host in the sense that you always know, all right, you're always going to be liberal about this or conservative about that. You're like most Americans that your opinions can vary based on the issues. So I want to take you to just what this last week has been like. and a little bit of a sense of where you stand on this. Where do you, because now, the issues really come down to, is it a societal thing? Is it about mental illness? Is it about gun laws? What is it about? What's it about for you?
Well, to me, gun laws don't work. For me, it's all mental health. I mean, if you can get a hold of these kids when they're, when they're in their early teens and develop some way to screen them out and to take care of them, and to have a serious discussion in this country about mental health, then you might have a chance of solving this problem. The President of the United States standing up saying this must stop and passing all these laws and going after people who legally possess firearms, who have done nothing wrong, except they get up in the morning and pay their taxes, and they go to work and then they come home, and they might enjoy going to a firing range on the weekends. Those are not the people you got to worry about. And also, people who have guns have to act responsibly. I mean, this woman apparently had all these firearms laying around her house, this kid's mother.
Yeah. Was she taking
that's not
him?
the way to go.
She had trouble. There's more details emerging here. She confided in some people that she was having trouble with him. There's now FoxNews.com is reporting that there are people saying that she was about to commit him. And
what was she doing with all the guns lying?
Yeah,
and
it's true.
teaching him to shoot.
Why leave the guns around? Yeah, or take him to a shooting range.
Right.
Yeah.
But all right. So I mean, she paid the ultimate price for that. So I mean, but so did those 25 families, right, that have lost a loved one, especially those children. It's heartbreaking. The question really then becomes, how do you it is really up to people to employ some sort of common sense.
Well, I was on the air here when Columbine came down. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine who was a police officer was shot and killed during that. And it all boils down, once again, I'll say it boils down to the same thing. When kids act out, when they're 7, 8, 9, 10, even when they're in their teens, and by God, being in your teens is rough enough, when they act out, they're trying to tell you something. And the last thing you need to do is to have guns laying around the house or give them access to guns. But mental health touches so much of this society. I mean, look at how many people are locked up in prison, and they might have mental health problems.
Yeah,
now, this is not a lot. This is not like a, oh my God, he's being a namby-pamby liberal. No, what I'm saying is, you're conservative or liberal or wherever you stand, let's have a serious discussion about mental health. It's a medical issue.
All right, Jay, hold on one second. We're going to take a quick break. We do traffic and weather on the 5s.
Sure, absolutely.
And Jay, I believe invented that in Del Rio, Texas, in the late 1970s. You don't get enough credit for that, Jay.
The only thing I did in Del Rio was I was on XCRF and sold goat gland medicine.
We've all been there.
Medicine.
We've all been there.
I believe that. Wait, hold on. I think I've got a live read for goat gland coming up in just a second. All right.
Out of the essay.
Hold on 1 second. We're talking to the great Jay Marvin. People got some phone calls. They got some thoughts for Jay. 591-8900. Back right after this.
We're doing our best to keep this city honest. So if you see something, say something to the 89 WLS News Tip Hotline at 312-236-0507.
The great Jay Marvin is on the Super Celebrity Hotline with us. Jay Marvin was a talk show host here in Chicago, also in Denver on a number of radio stations where he currently lives, South Florida, Del Rio, Texas, most famously. And he's got a new book out called Death Dance. And I'd like to read something, if I may, from Death Dance. Jay, with your permission.
Sure, go ahead. You can order the book, by the way, at howlingdogpress.com. Okay, go ahead.
Howlingdogpress.com. This is a little haiku.
Okay.
Entitled Radio.
Oh, great.
You were to train him on the 7 to 12 shift in that crap house radio station in a trailer at the end of a dirt road, nothing for miles but bugs, dive-bombing a bare yellow bulb. Tiny vultures driven mad by the heat and light, the way you were by the business. And in the middle of the show, he excused himself to get a Coke and never came back. You, sitting there in the North Carolina night wishing you had the guts to do the same. That is radio in a nutshell right there, my friend.
That actually happened.
Of course it did.
Guy goes, wait a minute. I'm thirsty. I'm going to get a soda. I'll be right back. Okay. About 10 minutes later, hey, man, are you anywhere in here? I'd gotten in his car, coasted it down the dirt road, and took off. Who knows where he is now?
I don't want a piece of that.
He did that nice little put it in the neutral move.
And that man is
off.
Bob Costas. All right. Here we go. John, you're on WLS. Hello, John. Say hello to Jay.
Hey, Jay, how you guys doing tonight? Hey, Jay, listen, I want to tell you, I used to listen to you when you were on with Eileen a few years back. I don't even know how long ago it's been now, but, being a huge conservative from the Midwest, you always drove me crazy, but it was always in a good way because you always gave a thoughtful and educated response, and even if I didn't agree with you, I sort of felt at ease with what you were saying, and I have to thank you because during the Bush years when you get so hard to the right or everybody gets so hard to the left, you always had a thoughtful response. And your response right now about what happened in Connecticut last week couldn't be more accurate. It's not just a one-size-fits-all solution, and I commend you on having the guts to say it.
Well, the left is definitely wrong on this. And they should stop wasting our time with useless babble and introducing of gun bills and all this stuff because it doesn't work. I mean, drugs are illegal in this country, yet I guarantee you there are still people off State Street smoking crack.
That's on page 226 of this book, by the way. There's a whole thing, crack on State Street. Hey, an interesting thing, that all the laws, and again, I mean, there are going to be some changes. Even the NRA today, I thought it was kind of interesting. The NRA released a statement in which they said, listen, because they've gone silent on this over the last week, and they said that, it's out of respect for the victims and the families and all that. But they are going to join the conversation here. And I think that they're preparing themselves for gun laws that are going to come into effect. And there may be, and thank you, John, appreciate it, there may be some, I don't know whether, the return to the assault weapons ban and stuff like that. There are going to be other, but none of what could be considered here, or very little of what could be considered, with the possible exception of that, getting that particular weapon on this guy's hand, does a whole lot. If somebody's crazy, there's 200 million weapons, registered, legal guns in America. 200 million.
Yeah.
And they don't expire. They're not milk. Right? I mean, so the question is, what are we doing about the culture as opposed to the guns? Let me say something else, though. I want to throw something at you. Imagine this. What do you think there's more of in America? All right? In order. I'm going to give you things here. Food stores, supermarkets, McDonald's, Starbucks, or gun shops? And in order. Anybody?
I'd say gun shops would be number one.
Yeah, gun shops are number one.
More than a Starbucks or a McDonald's.
51,000 retail gun stores in America. Compare that to 37,000 grocery stores, 14,000 McDonald's, and 13,000 Starbucks.
Wow.
Well, have any of you ever had any experience with the mental health system in this country? I mean, I don't mean to get morbid or anything, but last year, maybe it was the year before last, I was so despondent about what was going on with myself, I tried to kill myself. So they took me to the hospital. I was in a coma for about 5 days. Then they shipped me off to the mental health unit. You know what it was? It was a place where you played games.
A holding,
like when you were 13.
Right, a holding facility more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody who comes around, and then they have these group meetings where no one will talk, and the counselor had to tell me to shut up.
I know. Imagine being in a group meeting, any step program with Jay Marvin in the room. Almost impossible. All right, Jay, we got to run. Jay Marvin, Death Dance is the book. It's howlingdogpress.com if you're interested in that, or just Google Jay to get in touch. And thanks very much. Appreciate it, man. Great talking to you.
Hey, you guys take care. I love you both.
I love you, too.
Love you, Jay.